How could one ever get tired of it? Impossible to get tired of it. My father, over 50, would say that to my mother every day without an ounce of shyness in front of anyone. When their passion surged, he would sweep mother into his arms and carry her into their room. My siblings and I, long accustomed to the sounds from their room, would continue our meal as if nothing was amiss. In those moments, the proudest of all was Grandma. My mother was a bride grandma bought for less than 1,000 coin. For 10 miles around, there was no woman more beautiful or vibrant than my mother. Men who saw her would find their legs turn to jelly. Every time she went out, countless men secretly fantasized about her. Yet, a woman like that, bought, never cried, never complained, dedicating herself wholeheartedly to serving my father, a limping man with a deeply pockmarked face. Daytime wasn't enough. In the fields, by the riverbanks, countless villagers had caught them together. 7 of us siblings were born this way, but mother didn't favor her other healthy children, only I was truly cherished. From birth, I was missing an arm, had a cleft lip, and worst of all, I was a stone maiden barren. Before Grandpa Jiang passed away, he was a renowned geomancer. Black magic, red weddings, funerals, land divination, point selection there was nothing he didn't master. No one within 10 miles around didn't respect him, for everyone knew they might need him someday. Grandpa had only my father, his limping son with a fiery temper and a deeply pockmarked face. No matter how high Grandpa offered for a bride price, no one would marry their daughter to my father. Then one day, Grandpa called Grandma and father to his bedside, saying he had chosen a 1,000-year burial site. When he died, they were to bury him there. On holidays and festivals, they weren't to visit his grave, nor let anyone know where he was buried. He also warned them that on the second day after his passing, a snake would come into the house, and they absolutely must not harm it. They were to light incense, kneel in reverence, slaughter chickens and cattle, offering full worship. Having said this, he drew his last breath. Grandma and father suppressed their grief, placed him in the coffin, and intended to call the villagers to help carry it. But to their surprise, the coffin was as light as a feather. Under the moonlight, father carried the coffin alone up the mountain, burying Grandpa exactly where he instructed, without even building a mound. Outsiders didn't know, and even father found it difficult to locate the spot years later. The next morning before dawn, a large black serpent as thick as a wash basin was indeed in the yard. It was adorned with a jade ring on its head, and its belly scales densely hung with gold nuggets, each the size of a fist. Grandma's eyes turned bloodshot. She had never seen so much gold. They slaughtered chickens and goats, set out offerings and incense, while the large serpent docilely coiled itself, its eyes gentle and human-like. Grandma told father to take a few gold nuggets from its belly while it slept. Not too many, just 2 would suffice. Father limped towards it, but before he was even a meter away, the snake awoke. It eyed him warily. Father, in a panic, swung the axe he held. The black serpent, enraged, lashed its tail, instantly collapsing half of the house. But it restrained itself from further attacking father, irritably preparing to leave. However, father and grandma were blinded by the gold. They had only one thought: they couldn't let the gold nuggets that were almost theirs slip away. Grandma immediately splashed boiling water onto the serpent, its body writhing in agony on the ground. Father, wielding a machete, hacked wildly, severing a large section of the serpent's tail. Grandma then sprinkled orpiment, typically used to repel insects, onto the serpent. Immediately, white smoke hissed and billowed. Father, seizing the advantage, chopped furiously at its vital spots. The black serpent died. Its eyes, filled with resentment, stared at father and grandma. They didn't get any gold nuggets or jade. As soon as the snake died, a swarm of white foxes and civets poured into the yard. Grandma and father, terrified, ran into the house. When they ventured out again, only a pool of serpent blood remained in the yard. Their efforts were in vain. Filled with regret, they completely forgot Grandpa's warning. The next day, Grandma met a human trafficker selling my mother at the edge of the village. Large breasts, strong body, can endure beatings, hunger, and scolding. A woman like this is sure to be fertile. All sorts of advertisements, only 1,000 coin, and enchantingly beautiful. It would have been strange if Grandma wasn't moved. She immediately led the man home to get the money. The trafficker, having received the money, didn't hesitate for a moment, leaving my mother behind and departing. Initially, Grandma was afraid she couldn't keep such a beautiful bride. She locked father and mother in their room for 7 days and 7 nights, guarding the door herself. Hearing my mother's captivating, sweet, and passionate sounds from the room, Grandma was finally completely at ease. Grandma thought Father, though ugly, was skilled in the matters of the bed. She wasn't afraid a woman wouldn't be completely devoted to him. Before long, Mother became pregnant. Even with her belly growing, Father refused to rest. Grandma angrily tried to stop them several times, but Mother became displeased. Seeing her belly still normal, Grandma reluctantly let it go. 10 months later, my eldest sister was born, fair-skinned, plump, and healthy. My mother immediately threw the baby to Grandma with a cold face, not bothering to look at her again. There was no joy of a new mother, only pure disdain. Grandma, however, was delighted. Though she regretted it wasn't a boy, seeing Father and Mother so intertwined reassured her. It's fine, she can still bear more. Next, my 3 older brothers and 2 older sisters were born, one after another. Every child was healthy, but my mother never bothered to look at them. Day and night, she only clung to Father, enchanting him. The 2 of them didn't care where they were, like fire meeting wind. Grandma was furious, scolding my mother as a foxspirit. Father vehemently defended her, even hitting Grandma over it. From then on, she dared not interfere in their marital affairs. When I was born, a disabled child, Grandma cried and demanded I be abandoned, but my mother cherished me deeply, more than any other child. Father, to please Mother, forbade Grandma from discarding me. I grew up to be 8 years old, and no more children were born in our house. My eldest sister, at just 18, dropped out of school, claiming she was going to work and earn money, but in reality, she was going out with immoral men. 3 months after dropping out, she became pregnant. Grandma and Father were furious, but only I saw Mother cover her mouth, secretly smiling. I had never seen her genuinely happy like that from the bottom of her heart. 2 months after the abortion, my sister was diagnosed with uterine cancer. My mother suggested opening a shop selling various nourishing herbal soups to earn money for treatment. Grandma vehemently opposed, saying she didn't know how to cook, and Mother was lazy, only knowing how to entangle with men for that. But she couldn't stop Father, who wanted to please Mother, so Grandma's opposition was useless. The house was renovated in 3 days. My mother hung the signboard right inside our home, Ze Herbal Soup Shop. The large pot in the kitchen was big enough for 3 or 4 people, the broth bubbling, its aroma so enticing that villagers would gather when they smelled it. The soup was delicious, the meat tender and smooth. Villagers who tasted it once couldn't eat anything else. Our house was crowded with customers every day, and the good word spread far. People from the city even drove specifically to drink our soup. But what was strange was that I never saw Mother go out to buy livestock, and the cattle shed behind our house was never empty. Initially, Mother cooked the soup, but later Grandma also learned, and her soup was even more delicious, even more enchanting. Grandma earned more and more money, but she grew thinner and thinner, her eyes becoming colder and sharper, even emanating a malevolent, murderous aura. Gradually, Mother stopped cooking, never stepping into the kitchen. She only took me out to play, doting on me immensely, giving me whatever I wanted. The business was good, and Grandma was very pleased with Mother, no longer criticizing her for only knowing how to be intimate with Father. In less than a year, Grandma moved to town. The Ze Herbal Soup Shop expanded dozens of times over. From morning till night, customers came and went ceaselessly. Not having enough staff, Grandma hired many employees, but she insisted on handling the kitchen herself, not allowing anyone near it. Everyone thought she was afraid of revealing her secret recipe, so they deliberately stayed away from the kitchen, not daring to peek for fear of suspicion. Father occasionally went to town to visit Grandma. Most of the time, he stayed in the village with Mother. My mother, it seemed, never left the village, not even a step. Father seemed to have forgotten that Mother was a purchased woman, a kidnapped woman who had never once thought of escaping. This was truly abnormal, yet Grandma suspected nothing. Father also didn't think there was anything unusual about Mother. Indeed, it was abnormal. Unexplained animal hairs often appeared on my body, but we kept no pets. It wasn't until I saw Mother bathing and a furry tail dangled on the ground that I realized she wasn't human. She was a fox spirit. My older siblings, as they grew up, all learned the art of cooking the medicinal soup from Grandma. Branches of the Ze Herbal Soup Shop spread throughout the city. Every shop was bustling with customers, and the faces of each of them grew increasingly fierce, possessing the aura of murderers from crime films. Everyone in my family had it. Today, Mother went up the mountain again. Lately, she went up the mountain more and more often, returning each time with bloodshot eyes. Lately, she also stopped entangling with Father for that asterisk. Father was also called away by the village chief, for what purpose I didn't know. The village chief had coveted my mother for more than just a day or two. In the entire village, even unmarried men couldn't resist her charm. I sat alone in the yard, sunbathing, my thoughts wandering. Mei Jiang. A girl with her hair tied up high, biting melon seeds, called my name over the wall. I didn't know her. Not talking to strangers was my principle. She nimbly climbed over and squatted in front of me. Tisk, the Jiang family is truly reaching its end. Who are you? I am your mother's great-grandmother's ancestor. If she hadn't said it seriously, I would have thought she was insulting me. Thunder rumbled, and the century-old locust tree in the yard collapsed. I gasped. This was an ancient tree. The girl's expression immediately changed, the sky darkened, and lightning flashed and thunder rumbled over the mountain. Keep this talisman, it can save your life, don't let anyone know. The girl quickly left, heading towards the mountain. I looked at the yellow talisman in my hand, my palm feeling slightly warm. Why wasn't my mother back yet? After 8 p.m., Father staggered into the house. An explosion echoed from the mountain, a flash of light illuminating the entire night sky. Mother, covered in blood, suddenly appeared in the yard, her white foxtail dragging on the ground, leaving a long trail of blood. Father stood at the door, gazing at Mother with cold eyes, devoid of any past affection. The village chief led a group of people, appearing from behind the wall. See, I told you so. This one is a demon. Is there any woman in the village like her? Everyone spoke disparagingly, but their eyes were glued to Mother, their lewd and blatant gazes making me nauseous and terrified. The talisman the girl gave me during the day burned hot in my pocket, and I felt its warmth. My heart suddenly felt strangely peaceful. Mom isn't a demon. Even if she is, she's a benevolent one. Father, have you forgotten how well Mother treated you? I raised my stump of an arm, shielding Mother, trying to block those fierce and lustful eyes. Father's eyes briefly glazed over as if reminiscing, but upon seeing Mother's tail, they turned cold and cruel, filled with a new, firm resolve. I saw a murderous intent in his gaze. I didn't know that on that same day, the city's Criminal Investigation Police Department had formed a special task force, investigating a series of disappearances, assembling an elite team. The number of people mysteriously vanishing was growing. Many families reported cases, only to lose contact themselves after a while. The officers in charge of the cases felt helpless, facing cases with no clues. The missing were young and old, male and female, with no commonalities. Yet they vanished inexplicably at different times, leaving no clues or evidence. Officer Zhang was in charge of the case. After reviewing the files, his first impression was that this was no simple missing persons case. He needed to find his old partner, Qi Fanyin. When Officer Zhang arrived, he saw the girl with her hair tied up high sitting outside, biting melon seeds, holding an old, yellowed book. This kind of enchanting demonic art isn't just one type. There's one that uses delicious food to lure people. After eating, they become infatuated and follow, commonly known as du ziuba. In Jiangnan, it's called Ze Fei. Innocent children are often easy targets. There's also a type that transforms people into livestock, called Zhaochu, cattle transformation. This demonic art isn't common north of the Yellow River, but it frequently appears south of the Yellow River. Zhaochu, what a strange name for it. Qi Fanyin closed the book, her expression mysterious. My Officer Zhang, do you understand? The man looked blankly. Understand what? Ze Herbal Soup Shop. Go investigate where they source their live cattle. Come back to me once you found out. Qi Fanyin placed the book on her face, lazily lying in the sun. I came to you for something else, Officer Zhang said, bewildered. He had come to ask her to investigate the disappearances. I know why you came to me. The clue has already been given, the Ze Herbal Soup Shop. Qi Fanyin looked annoyed. The girl who found me during the day was Qi Fanyin. In the afternoon, Officer Zhang also came and asked me many questions. I knew that what my family had been doing was about to be exposed. Those secrets, sooner or later, would be laid bare. The truth was coming out. The brutish village chief pushed someone as frail as me aside. A group of men tied Mother up with ropes. Some even took advantage of the chaos to grope her all over. Mother, however, smiled and shook her head at me, telling me not to worry. She deliberately made some alluring sounds, her eyes flirtatious, her blouse buttons coming undone. Father rushed forward, panting, and slapped Mother twice hard. "You loose woman, all you know is how to seduce men. Can't you live without them? And now, in this dangerous situation, you still demand to be wanton? Have you no shame?" Whether Mother knew shame or not, I wasn't sure, but Father was even more shameless. Regardless of what I, standing there, would think or what the other men would do, he ripped Mother's clothes right there in the yard. "May, go inside." "Mother," I sobbed, but Mother just laughed, her face even showing a perverse pleasure. "They've gone mad, everyone has gone mad. I don't know if anyone is still normal." I went into the house, burrowed under the blankets, trying not to hear the filthy sounds from the yard. "Old Jiang, this woman will have to be killed anyway, so why not?" The village chief sneered, rubbing his hands lewdly. "As long as you don't mind that this woman has been played with by me, do whatever you want." Father, his face full of disdain, pulled up his pants, inwardly triumphant. For years, every man in the village had envied him for marrying a woman like Mother. He wasn't naive. Behind their backs, who among these men hadn't lusted after Mother? As a man, his pride was now supremely satisfied. Mother laughed even harder, even happier. Her uninhibited laughter permeated the air, seeping into my ears. "Moo, moo, moo," I heard the sound of cows, seemingly more and more of them, all in my yard. Curious, I opened the door and peeked out. The village chief and the other men were gone, leaving behind a yard full of cows. Father's eyes widened, his face aghast, as he watched the herd of cows being driven by Mother into the shed behind the house. Scattered in the yard were various clothes, all belonging to the village chief and the other men who had just been there. "Demon, foxspirit, ah no, my wife, my dear wife, we were once husband and wife, please don't kill me. I certainly won't touch you now because it's not yet time." The smell of blood on Mother's body seemed to have vanished, her once pale face was now rosy again, and her foxtail had disappeared. HMPH, as expected, one must be as alluring as a fox spirit to be obeyed. Mother looked triumphant. I didn't quite understand what she meant. "A fox turns its head, either for gratitude or vengeance. Guess whether I'm repaying kindness or seeking revenge." Mother gripped Father's chin tightly, her fox eyes chillingly terrifying. No matter how Father struggled, he couldn't break free. "Mei Jiang, kill your father?" I was stunned, utterly terrified. Why would a daughter kill her own father? Heaven and earth would tremble, it's unforgivable. That would be perfect. Mother put a knife in my hand, grabbing my hand and plunging it straight into Father's heart. "Stop!" My grandmother, dressed in paper funeral clothes, rushed in. This type of paper is meant to be burned for the dead. Wearing it while alive is extremely unlucky. She ran so fast that by the time I reacted, a black needle had pierced the center of Mother's forehead. The moon suddenly glowed with a bizarre red light. I saw countless weasels pouring in from everywhere, swarming the yard, walls, rooftops, they were everywhere. They carried my mother, who lay motionless, fate unknown, directly up the back mountain with astonishing speed. "May, quickly kill all the cows in the back." "Huh, so many, I dare not." Grandma's voice was urgent and cold. I looked at the knife in my hand. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but there seemed to be a wisp of black energy emanating from it. "If you don't kill them, we will all die." "Then why don't you go?" My mind suddenly cleared. The more I looked, the less the person in front of me resembled Grandma. Her cheeks were flushed red, and her mouth was unusually red. Her voice was uncharacteristically sharp. The cows in the shed bellowed restlessly. Grandma pushed me back with astonishing strength. The yellow talisman in my pocket burned hot through my clothes. When I took out the talisman, the grandma in front of me screamed once, then spontaneously combusted like a paper effigy, turning to ashes. Anyway, she wasn't human, not my grandma. A living person couldn't burn that fast. The knife in my hand now turned icy cold, a chill that penetrated to my bones, hurting so much I grimaced and let go. "Soul Slayer blade, who dares steal my belongings?" Chi Fan Yin, her hair tied in a ponytail, appeared silently behind me. Her face was colder than the knife on the ground. The cows in the shed now bellowed wildly. The sounds of cattle continued, one after another. Father screamed for help and I rushed forward, but it was too late. Father lay naked in a pool of blood, his entire body severed in half. Bigfoot roared at the sky as if enraged. I didn't know what she was so angry about. It was my father, not hers. But other than disgust, I felt no sorrow or anger. My father truly deserved this brutal death. Grandma, I chased them but couldn't catch up. It smells like something that escaped from our ghostly mountain. Bigfoot jumped down from the rooftop, a large figure, scratching his head in confusion. I just don't understand. Chief Fanyin is so young, why does Bigfoot call her grandma? I followed them to the city to find Grandma and my siblings. As we left the village, I found the entire village pitch black, not a soul, not even the sound of a barking dog. The silence around was unnerving. Your villagers have all been dead for a long time. A long time? All dead. I didn't understand. So were people like the village chief last night all ghosts? Exactly as you think. Ghostly cattle transformation soup is no joke. How many survive after drinking it? Think back, remember carefully. Remember what? I also drank that soup. So am I human or a ghost now? I fell silent. At this point, it was hard to say whether I was in the human realm or the underworld. Were the people who came to our house daily to drink soup human or ghost? Moreover, the two people in front of me, I didn't know what they were either, because normal people can't drive cars that fly into the sky. Yes, fly. I could even see the neon lights beneath my feet, like a view from an airplane, but I was sitting in a car. When we arrived at Grandma's Ze Herbal Soup Shop, the place was sealed off by the police, and a cold wind blew out from inside. Not a soul was there. Where's my grandma? Your grandma, why ask me? Chief Fanyin seemed genuinely clueless, utterly exasperated. Grandma, it feels like someone is always watching us, always one step ahead. Bigfoot, you're good at saying useless things. I'll just shut up then. Let's go check the Jiang family's grave. My family doesn't have a grave. Indeed, your family doesn't have a grave. A grave is what humans call it. For your family, it can only be called a burial pit for corpses. From childhood, I had never seen my family go grave sweeping. Simply put, my family had no graves, but no one listened to anything I said. The two of them were already on their way. To be honest, this was my first time visiting the mountain behind our house. I always felt a heavy yin energy there. From deep within me, I always resisted coming here. Chief Fanyin cut a line on my hand, burned a yellow talisman, and rubbed the ashes onto the wound. The blood flowed out black as ink, like a serpent hovering in midair, slithering everywhere as if searching for something. Finally, it stopped at a peach tree. My black blood dripped straight down, and the peach tree sizzled, emitting white smoke. Grandma, the Jiang family occupies such a good feng shui land, yet why are their descendants so wicked, never doing any good deeds? You'll know why soon enough. Chief Fanyin conjured a pickaxe from thin air and began to dig. Mei Jiang, do you know why your blood is black? Blood like this can only be compared to Lin Xinhai from back then, maybe one or two others. Huh? Who is Lin Xinhai? Bigfoot, seeing my confusion, patiently explained. Lin Xinhai was a notorious villain, responsible for 26 cases, killing 67 people, injuring 10, raping 86, and even causing a massive explosion that killed over 300 people. When he died, his blood was also black, but it wasn't as black as yours. Your blood is blacker. Bigfoot emphasized the last sentence. What does that mean? It means the Jiang family is even more evil, even more deranged than that. I didn't care much, no need for such detail. Before long, Chief Fanyin unearthed a coffin, brand new as if buried yesterday, wrapped in green vines and red flowers. How to describe it? It was very bizarre. A foul stench rose from the grave pit. I stepped closer. The pit was swarming with maggots, even more appearing as if rising from underground. Chief Fanyin sat on the ground, forming hand seals and chanting spells. The wind swirled, bricks and stones flew chaotically. I felt the entire mountain range beneath my feet trembling. A tide of weasels carried my mother, whose body was that of a fox but her head was mother's. At this moment, I wasn't sure if it was my mother. The weasels seemed to fear Chief Fanyin, standing far away, lining up and prostrating. Hu Kaior, wake up now, my grandmother spoke. Bigfoot kicked my mother. To be honest, this action was not very graceful, but I only dared to be angry, not speak. Grandma, you've arrived. Heaven has its laws, creatures have their laws, humans have their laws, everything has its cause and effect. You have violated the laws of heaven, defied the laws of creatures, and broken the laws of humans. At this point, what more is there to explain? You said explain, so what more can I say? You're not busy with anything. Tell your story. Who knows, I might soften and forgive you. Chief Fanyin jumped up onto the coffin, pulling out a handful of melon seeds as if settling in to hear a story. Fine, I'm speechless. At this point, She's the only one who can still eat. Our White Fox clan has lived here for 1,000 years, guarding this 1,000-year burial site, awaiting the day of ascension, only hoping to cultivate into demons in this immortal land. The black serpent the Jiang family killed was my husband. He and the burial site were connected by vital energy. When the old man of the Jiang family passed away, though we didn't want to, we knew it was fate. My husband entered the Jiang family home on the second day to receive offerings, and from then on, the Jiang family's eternal prosperity would be under our protection. But unexpectedly, they killed my husband, repaying kindness with enmity. How could I endure that? My mother shed 2 streams of blood tears, crying in a harsh, unpleasant way. My heart suddenly felt restless. If you couldn't endure it, why did you become his wife? Bigfoot, with his peculiar mindset, questioned everything. I had to be his wife. Otherwise, how else could I have made the Jiang family's fortune decline so quickly? They didn't deserve 1,000 years of blessings. You are a demon, having illicit relations with a human, which inherently goes against the laws of heaven. But this was also the fastest way to deplete their fortune. Chi Fan Yin sighed heavily, looking at my mother with both anger and pity. By depleting their fortune, you also caused the demise of your entire Fox clan. The illicit relations between a demon and a human go against the laws of heaven and will surely be punished by heaven. Hearing this, my mother cried even more fiercely, and fox fur began to grow on her face. Since last month, every day, one of my kin has died in the fox den. 10 bolts of heavenly lightning, who could endure that? Now, there's no one left to shield me from the heavenly lightning. Today, I bear it myself. Only by sheer determination am I not turned to ashes. With such great vengeance left unfulfilled, I am not reconciled. Saying this, my mother's face completely transformed into a furry fox face. Chi Fan Yin's phone rang. It was Officer Zhang, reporting that everyone had been arrested except for my grandmother who had escaped. Very strange, she was caught but vanished in an instant. Connecting it to the Soul Slayer blade, Chi Fan Yin's expression turned very grim. She gripped my arm tightly, unwilling to let go, as if facing a powerful enemy, afraid I would run away. Firstly, I didn't know where to run. Secondly, I had no reason to run. Thirdly, I certainly wouldn't run, but no one bothered to listen to anything I said. Bigfoot threw my fox mother onto the passenger seat. Chi Fan Yin pulled me into the back seat, driving off to who knows where. This whole night had been a frantic rush. When we returned to the village, people were bustling, and houses were smoking with cooking. I only heard voices but saw no shadows of people, terrified. I huddled against Chi Fan Yin, feeling she was very powerful, and being with her made me feel safe. Mei Jiang, your grandmother is much scarier than those things out there. Bigfoot chewed gum, his face full of disgust. I wasn't even close to him. I don't know what he was so disgusted by. My grandmother was so old and frail, she seemed harmless, so how could she be scary? But very quickly, this thought was shattered. At the village gate, I saw my grandmother as thin as a skeleton wrapped in skin. Just a few days had passed, and I didn't understand how she had become like this. You decide, will you end your own life or shall I kill you? Chi Fan Yin pulled me out of the car, looking coldly at my grandmother. It felt as if in the next second she would draw her blade. Grandma, I have no way out. Can you let me finish my task and then I'll accept my punishment? I beg you, Grandma. My grandmother knelt on the ground, calling Chi Fan Yin, Grandma. I was paralyzed. What was happening? If I truly let her finish her task, I don't know how much merit I'd lose. You're quite bold too, aren't you? Risking everything, burning your boats for battle. My grandmother's face immediately became covered in green veins, her hands sprouting sharp claws as she lunged towards me. Villains die from talking too much. This saying is truly profound. The Soul Slayer blade plunged into my grandmother's chest. I watched her fall to the ground, her body rapidly shriveling into a layer of skin like a snake's, but her head remained Grandma's. Could it be that my grandmother was also a snake demon, not human? Grandma, why did you want to kill me? And that paper effigy, was that also made by you? Don't call me Grandma, I am the great Mo Yao. So where's my real grandmother? Why ask me about your grandmother? Honestly, why do I have to endure all of this? Everyone just rushes in to scold me. My eyes met Bigfoot's, he looked smug. HMPH, what's wrong with these people? A bunch of lunatics. Tell me you've atoned for 300 years, why are you doing this now? Even if you hadn't come, Hu Kaior wouldn't have spared the Jiang family. Why risk your life like this? Don't you see how foolish it is? Utterly stupid. Chi Fan Yin's face was full of regret. To me, it sounded utterly foolish. And Mo Yao? The name sounded majestic, but his mind was useless. I might as well not know, but since I do, I cannot do nothing. That was my biological brother, died such a tragic death. If I did nothing, would I still be human? You were never human, you are a snake. I couldn't help but correct him. I felt this snake's mind wasn't quite right. You're the snake. I'm a Jayalong, a horned dragon, don't you know? Much stronger than a mere snake. I had previously seen Grandpa's records, which said Jayalong are snakes that have cultivated to become almost dragons, but haven't fully transformed. If they focused on cultivation, they could become dragons, but before that, they were still considered demons. But I always felt that this snake's purpose wasn't just that, but it stubbornly refused to speak. I had no way to make it. Mo Yao's brother, the snake that my grandmother and father had beaten to death, had been dedicated to cultivation. Firstly, he couldn't bear to kill, and secondly, at that time, he had just shed his skin and was very weak. I couldn't stop thinking, if he had swallowed grandma and father alive back then, would any of these subsequent events have happened? Even Chi Fan Yin couldn't answer. Everything has cause and effect. Perhaps it was the great serpent's tribulation, or perhaps it was the Jiang family's tribulation. Who can truly know? When dawn broke, the entire village was surrounded by police. Human bones were found piled as high as a mountain. Forensic experts could only confirm they were human bones but couldn't reassemble specific skeletons. The sheer quantity was overwhelming. There were over 1,000 skulls alone. The bones of all the suddenly missing people were probably all here. I was taken to the police station for questioning, but I knew nothing of what they asked. I truly knew nothing. But my siblings and grandmother opening the Ze Herbal Soup Shop and using demonic arts to create livestock and kill many people, that was the truth, only it was too bizarre. To avoid public panic, the case files could not be made public. However, all my relatives were sentenced to death and executed immediately. They deserved it. The village was sealed off and I couldn't go home. Staying in the mountain cave behind, I, a member of the Jiang family, was now like a rat scurrying across the street. Everyone who saw me wanted to stomp on me and spit. Staying in the cave was good too. Every night, I heard the mournful cries of foxes in the forest and the hissing of snakes. My mother and Mo Yao were both dead, but I knew their souls had never truly left. This was the result of Chi Fan Yin's leniency. She said she wouldn't always be so merciful. My mother wanted to emulate her ancient ancestors, transforming into a beautiful seductress to bewitch King Zhou, performing all sorts of wicked deeds, solely to destroy the Shang dynasty's legacy. My mother only wanted to destroy my family's fortune. The great burial site, formed over 1,000 years, where my grandfather was buried, would surely produce illustrious descendants for the Jiang family. But precisely when my grandmother and father were bewitched, they made such grave mistakes, harming themselves, harming others, and also destroying the fox and snake clans. My mother didn't truly love me. It was merely that I was born with a disabled body, which meant the Jiang family's spiritual energy was rapidly declining, and she was close to success. The method of cattle transformation was something Mother told my grandmother. Initially, as long as my grandmother wasn't swayed by greed and didn't harm anyone, my mother would have had no way. But precisely when my grandmother became greedy for money, killing people as if they were nothing, the Jiang family's fortune rapidly declined. My grandmother contributed quite a bit. I wonder if she'll be beaten when she meets my grandfather in hell? No, I'm thinking too much. In hell, there's only my grandfather. My grandmother and the others aren't even qualified to go to hell. My poor grandfather, I heard he had already reincarnated, but because of my grandmother and the others, he was called back and beaten into the 18 layers of hell. I don't know where the ghostly mountain that Chi Fan Yin mentioned is. Bigfoot said that place is scarier than hell. I hope I never know what kind of place it is. At the great burial site, I buried my mother's and Mo Yao's bodies, erected their memorial tablets, and burned paper money. Later, I will offer sacrifices to them so their souls can cultivate here. It's just that Chi Fan Yin said they made grave mistakes, their sins reaching the heavens, so their path to cultivation will be 1,000 times harder. But that's not my concern. I won't live that long anyway. Many years later, one night, I heard voices on the burial mound. Mo Yao, my heart holds only your brother. I truly only see you as an older brother. Hu Kaior, can't you try to look at me just once? I realized. Some demons sought revenge for a brother, which wasn't wrong, but most of it was for the one they loved. Who knew demons could be so sentimental? Sibling love, a love triangle, wow. No wonder the paper effigy that night tried to hit my mother. It was just to make her less stained with blood, less sinful. The effigy forcing me to kill the cows was also just to get me sentenced to death. Only when humans executed me would the Jiang family truly be eradicated. But even though I'm not dead now, the Jiang family can never prosper again. I'm congenitally disabled and a virgin, a dead end with no escape. By the way, what shall I eat today? I don't want to gnaw on tree bark anymore. The peaches on the grave are ripe, I'll just steal one to eat. Epilogue, Chifanyan. After the Hu Kaior incident, my karmic merit was greatly diminished, and Bigfoot was so sad he couldn't eat or drink for months. According to previous custom, Hu Kaior and Mo Yao should have both died, turning to ashes, but I was soft-hearted. Guarding Ghostly Mountain for 1,000 years, I've also been atoning for 1,000 years. I don't know when it will end. Karmic merit, it seems increasingly meaningless. I gave Hu Kaior a pass to life, but lately I often wonder, who will give me a pass to life? Is there any hope left for my own life? On the Mid-Autumn Festival, my geomancy shop stays open all night. Officer Zhang brought wine again. To be honest, I used to be very excited when I saw him. Every time he came to me, it was for major cases. After I helped him solve them, my karmic merit would soar. But now, seeing him, my mind is just filled with worries. Why does he always encounter such terrible things? He's truly a troublemaker. Who are you really? We've been through so much together, we're practically long-term partners. Can't you tell me the truth? Who am I, based on what? I'm a bit hazy now. I am the psychic from Ghostly Mountain, Chi Fan Yin. You're drunk, you're really drunk, talking nonsense again. Officer Zhang picked up melon seeds from my table and ate them. This man is truly a dog. Every time, he just watches me drink while he himself doesn't touch a drop. What a scoundrel. My phone rang and he frantically pulled me up. Don't sleep, let's go, there's work to do again. Honestly, I'm speechless. He doesn't need to be so dedicated.